What's going on, everybody? Josh Engleman for Awesemo.com, and I am back with a special Saturday NFL two-gamer edition of my contenders, my top 10 plays of the day for the slate. Now be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you know when we go live. Follow me on Twitter so you can get updates to these sim results as we get closer to lock. That would be at Josh Engleman. And finally, let me know in the comments section who are your favorite plays on FanDuel and on DraftKings. We're going to kick it off on FanDuel, but you don't have to find another video. DraftKings coming up immediately after it. Melvin Gordon, the Buffalo Bills defense. Robert Tonyan, Noah Fant, and Robbie Anderson are rounding out my top 10 on FanDuel. Who will be the top 5? It's time to find out. Coming in at number 5, showing up in the optimal lineup 42% of the time, that would be Josh Allen. He's 8,400 on FanDuel, 22.8 fantasy point projection. They're 6-point favorites, 49-point game total. The pass defense is kind of tough. Denver's been solid, 8th against the pass, but 25th against the run. That certainly benefits Josh Allen. He's going for north of 25 fantasy points about 40% of the time. That's the same sort of story here. That will put him in the optimal lineup. I think Josh Allen looks fantastic. This is a really nice spot for him, whether he can get it done throwing the ball or he has to get it done with his legs. Josh Allen is my number 5. Coming in at number 4, we've got Stefon Diggs, taking a bit of a step up in tier. He's 10% more likely than Josh Allen to be in the optimal, showing up more frequently than half the time. 51.6%, that's Stefon Diggs in the optimal. 15.3 fantasy point projection. Does have that difficult matchup against the Broncos pass defense, but they should be out in front. I'm hoping Diggs can get that touchdown early. 49-point game total is high enough that I expect a decent amount of scoring for Buffalo. He goes for north of 25 fantasy points 15% of the time. You're certainly going to need him in that case. But 51.6, that's more frequently than 50-50, obviously. He will be in the optimal lineup. I love paying up for Diggs, but there are 3 better options today. First of which edges out Diggs by just a little bit. 54% of the time, Mike Davis is in the optimal lineup, 7,400. That's enough to put him in the number 3 spot. Only projected for 13.6 fantasy points. This is more of a high floor play. 6% of the time he's going for north of 25 points. Again, this is not this monstrous outlook that you're looking for. You're looking for consistency. We're expecting the Panthers to be behind and have to throw. Mike Davis certainly going to be involved in the passing game regardless. 52-point game total. 8-point underdogs, so like you're hoping that Davis is constantly getting those catches. Now on FanDuel, it's a little bit different. You're only getting the half-point PPR, but that's still wildly valuable on a 2-game slate. And the Packers defense isn't all that scary. 22nd against the run, 19th against the pass. I love getting to Davis here. I wish he was a little bit cheaper, but unfortunately he is not. But the price tag doesn't seem to matter because he still gets in the optimal more than all but 2 people. I just wonder, who are those 2 people? One of them is on the opposite sideline, and we're taking a monstrous step up in tier. 9,500 for my number 2 guy, Davante Adams. 18.5 fantasy point projection. Obviously, Green Bay, big favorites, 50-plus point game total. A Carolina defense that you are not worried about at all. 27th in passing DVOA. That's not scary. 26% chance that Adams goes for north of 25, which shouldn't be that shocking. It feels like he does that every single week. 66% of the time, Davante Adams is going to be in the optimal lineup. That's 2 out of every 3. This dude is lethal. If he gets in the end zone at least once, I assume he'll just be in the optimal. The way that they use him in the red zone now, I feel like he'll get in the end zone way more than once. It's just insane. This dude is having a fantastic season. I love getting to Davante Adams here, but the price tag is tough on a 2-game slate. I mean, not tough enough to take him anywhere other than second, but we have one more guy ahead of him. And at 8,200, that is his teammate, Aaron Jones. 8,200, 16.1 fantasy point projection. Clearly the same matchup as Davante Adams. 8-point favorites, 52-point game total. He still gets a little bit of the benefit of the passing defense being terrible, but 19th against the run. It's certainly not something that Aaron Jones is going to be worried about. 17.5% chance of going for north of 25. I think you're expecting the crazy outlier game more from Davante Adams. I think the floor for Aaron Jones is a bit higher, and that's enough to put him in the optimal 69% of the time. I didn't know that was going to happen. That laugh was truly organic. I enjoy it. You're going to need one of these 2 guys almost assuredly. The chances of one of them either one of them being in the optimal lineup going to be about 50-50. So you're looking to grab at least one of Jones or Adams in pretty much every lineup that you're building. I can't see fading the Packers aggressively as a stance that I'm going to be taking all that often. But for right now, Aaron Jones is my number one play on FanDuel. Stick around. We're running it back right now with DraftKings. Now, this should look pretty similar. Well, most guys are going to be projected pretty similarly. What we'll see is the differences in salaries, and that's what's going to be the biggie. So rounding out the bottom of my DraftKings top 10, DJ Moore, Cole Beasley, Noah Fant, Robert Tonyan, and then again, Robbie Anderson at number 6. We're diving into the top 5. These names are going to look pretty familiar, but what is the order? First one up is Josh Allen. 41.2% of the time he will be in the optimal lineup, 7,200. I've already talked a little bit about a matchup against Denver in the 49-point game total. Allen's going for north of 30 fantasy points, about 27% of the time. That's clearly going to be a big-time number for him. 41.2% of the time he's in the optimal. There are only 3 other quarterbacks on the slate. They are splitting the other 60%. And even though it's not going to show up on the screen, Aaron Rodgers making up quite a bit of that. Not a lot going to the other 2 quarterbacks. I don't think you'll be all that surprised. Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, the clear 2 top quarterback options. But if I have to pick one of them, it's certainly Josh Allen. As you can see, we're taking another big step up in tier. This is the spot where I like Mike Davis even more. 6,500, that salary is significantly more manageable than it is on FanDuel. A 16-point fantasy point projection. He gets the full PPR. And you can see from Josh Allen at 41% to Mike Davis at 54%, we're really separating ourselves. Now, again, we don't expect Mike Davis to have a monster day. 8% chance of going for north of 30. But the floor is as high as you're going to find on a slate like this. 54% of the time he's in the optimal. That's more frequently than 50-50. I love getting to these guys. I love getting to Mike Davis. I love getting to my number 3, my number 2, my number 1. Anytime that you can get these guys that are in the optimal more than half of the time, I mean, what I'm telling you is you're probably going to want 2 of my top 4 and more than likely 3 of the top 4. You got to make it work with those regards and hope that you can hit that low guy, the 3K tight end or the 4th wide receiver that, you know, catches a touchdown pass. That's the difference, but you want to try and concentrate as much as you can around the core of the top of these rankings. 4, 3, 2, and 1, and we're starting with Mike Davis. And then we're going to my number 3, Stephon Diggs, 7,900. I like this spot a little bit more on FanDuel for Diggs than I do on DraftKings, but they're basically the same play. You're expecting or hoping for a monster day, north of 30 fantasy points, 20% of the time. You're comparing Diggs directly to Davante Adams. In this case, spoiler alert, I'm going to lean towards Adams slightly, but there's no shame in going to Stephon Diggs when he shows up in 55% of optimals. You might have to flip a coin between the 2 of those guys, and it's not going to feel fun when one of them scores and the other one doesn't. But that's DFS for you. As of right now, I prefer Davante Adams to Stephon Diggs, but there's no reason to not go to that Josh Allen Diggs pairing. That's my number 3 and my number 5 guy in the rankings. That is the best stack you will find. I prefer that combination more than I prefer Adams plus Rodgers. And we're flip-flopping the top 2. Number 2 on DraftKings, but number 1 on FanDuel, that is Aaron Jones, 7,300, 18.2 fantasy point projection. I really love this spot, but I don't love it as much as I do on FanDuel. You can see, though, we took another step up in tier. It's clear that the 2 Green Bay guys are the best options on the slate. They are separating themselves from the pack. 64.5% of the time you're getting Aaron Jones in the optimal lineup. He's going for north of 30 fantasy points, about 12.5% of the time. The floor looks great. He's only busting less than 10 fantasy points, about 9% of the time. That one won't be fun at all, that's for sure. But I see no reason to get away from Aaron Jones. He's going to be popular. To me, he's basically a cash game lock. Load him into your lineups. I love Aaron Jones, but it's time to talk about the number 1. And that number 1, at 72.2% of the time, it's Davante Adams, 9,400, projected for 23.5 fantasy points. Every single sign in this game points to him having a monster. The 27th ranked pass defense, not going to slow him down. 52-point game total, big favorites. You're expecting a ton of scoring here. I mean, honestly, the 10 for 150 and 3 TDs game is certainly on the table. He's going for north of 30 fantasy points 1/3 of the time. I'm not like rounding up. It's 33% on the dot. This dude is going to hang a number, or at least has the potential to hang a number. And he's going to be in the optimal basically 3 out of every 4 times you run this slate. This is as high as it gets. It doesn't matter that he's 9,400. Devontae Adams plus random guy at low salary is better than any combination you're going to find. But I do really like that Diggs Allen stack. I don't want to poo-poo it a little bit. Getting Josh Allen as my number 5 guy is important, but Devontae Adams as an individual is the best play on the Saturday slate, and you guys already know that. Alrighty guys, that will do it. Those are my NFL DFS contenders for the Saturday 2-gamer for FanDuel and DraftKings. One last time, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live, and follow me on Twitter at Josh Engleman so you can get the updates to these sim results. We're going to be doing this again for Sunday. I already have my top 5 videos out. We'll be getting showdown content as well. We're going to do this 2-gamer again next Saturday. Tons of NFL content still to come, plus the NBA is right around the corner. Good luck today. I'll see you guys again tomorrow for the NFL Strategy Show.